Hey everybody, welcome to Mid-America Dirt. I'm Skip and I am super excited to be joined by Mr. Raymond Merrill, Sallisaw, Oklahoma. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good, Skip. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. I have been wanting to talk to you for quite a while, and I've been watching that 71 car of Hudson O'Neill's, and there's always Merrill Bonding, Oklahoma, little Oklahoma on it, Merrill Bonding, and I'm like, well, I live here in Oklahoma. I'm gonna have to find out who this is. And I didn't know who I didn't know. So I asked around, and they're like, it's Raymond Merrill. He's from over there. He lives pretty close to where you're at, and I heard a little bit about your racing history, not a lot. I heard you've been teammates, or I'll ask you about this because to get the story on it. But you've been with Wendell Wallace for quite a while. So if you could please, could you tell me how you got started in racing? Do you come from a racing family?
First of all, talking about Hudson really represents us well. So
Yes,
does
sir.
Tony Jackson Jr. We're on the hood of Tony's car, and of course, we're on Wendell Wallace's car. And all three of those guys are fast and they represent us well. But how I started racing, I'm not from a racing family, but I grew up in a racing town, Muldrow, Oklahoma. So just south of Muldrow, across the river, is Tri-State Speedway. And that was my home track, that and Muskogee Fairgrounds. But when I was a kid, it seemed like in Muldrow, everybody raced. Every garage in town would have a race car in it. And we produced a lot of really good drivers, Gary Pruitt, Billy Wheeler, a lot of those guys. And I kind of shaped the way I drove by how those guys drove. They all drove the cars really straight, and they all helped me a lot when I got started. So the first time I raced, and I wanted to race my whole life from kid on. That's all I've ever wanted to do. And so in 1989, I started with just a low-level street stock. And back then, they were running a lot of 200-lap races around here. They were
Wow.
horribly dangerous. That's probably why they don't run them anymore. Probably can't get insurance. But they would line you up. And the very first race I raced in was one of these, and it was at Tri-State. So they lined us up 3 wide, bumper to bumper on the front straightaway, and it was a standing start. So if something happened to your car, didn't fire, it slipped out of gear or something, it was really a bad deal. And you run 200
Golly.
laps. Only time there's no cautions. They would throw a red if there was a rollover, a fire, or if the track was blocked. So that's kind of how I got started, was running those. I remember the first race I ran, I was on a super low budget, and I just had an open face helmet, and I had jockey goggles because I was galloping a lot of racehorses then. And I didn't know anything about tear-offs or anything then. So I started racing in 89 at Tri-State and just raced a couple of years. And we actually had a track open in Muldrow at the time called Cherokee Chief Speedway. And it
I had
stayed
never heard of that one.
open. It was only open a few years. In fact, it was close enough to town that I'd just leave my race car out there during the week. So I started out there, and it wasn't long. I figured out I needed to be working. I couldn't afford to race then. So parked the race car, and I thought I'll start back when I can afford to do it right, or won't get to start back at all. But I waited till 1997, and I was introduced to a gentleman in Muskogee named Sonny Stevens, and he was building modifieds. And so I made a deal with him. I'd pay for the cars and stuff. He could do whatever he wanted to them. We could experiment however he wanted. And he would take care of them. I'd pay for everything, and I'd drive. And that's kind of how that got started. And then I was in good equipment. So we were racing at Tri-State. I think I was Rookie of the Year the first year I was there. And then the Muskogee Fairgrounds. And it was so tough back there in the modifieds. Tri-State, Muskogee, both of them were. I mean, they would have E features back then. There were so many cars.
Wow.
And you just had so many good drivers at Tri-State. You had Bill Dillard, Telly Evans, Chuck Knight, list goes on and on. So I've raced there, and then you go to Muskogee, same thing. I mean, it's just so tough. It was just all you could do to make a feature. It was so tough at Tri-State. I don't know how many local shows I ever ran there, but I never won a local feature there. But I won in Mars, in
Golly.
LRA, Super, I won the Spooker twice. I won the Kegger once in a modified, but I never won a local show there. I mean, that's how tough that place was. It still is. So we started out racing there. And then in 99, we bought our first late model and bought it off of Val Perky. And the year before, Val won the Spooker in this car in 98. So we bought it, and Sonny was helping me with it. And then I had Shane Watts and his brother Sean helping me here in Salisaw, and Larry Boatwright. So they were all helping on the late model. And I sent my guys down to Dale McDowell School at that time. I should have went myself, but I think I could only afford to send them. So we sent them. And they came back and had a lot of ideas. So they came back and we started running good instantly. We won that year, our first year, we won the last two features at Muskogee that year. And then we go run the Spooker and won the Spooker. And that was a big deal to me because Ken Estrie runs second. And he was always somebody I really
Wow.
looked up to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know we had a bunch of restarts then. It was kind of a double-edged sword knowing Ken was behind me. It was good because I knew he wasn't going to wreck me, but it was bad because I knew if I made any mistake, he was going by. And it made it more special to me to win that race with him behind me.
Well, that's got to be for sure.
When we started there, we was running the IMCA late model, and then we got an open motor at the end of that year, and I bought a car off of Larry Shaw. And I went down, I sent my guys down to help them finish it out, or basically to go down and let Larry and them educate them a little bit. And I remember when we was finishing it, I went down to get fitted for it. And that was the first time I'd ever met Larry Shaw. And that was like meeting Elvis, in that time. And so I was there, and my guys had been there all week, and they had fell in love with Batesville. I think they were all wanting to move down there. And so Larry came out, and he's talked to me, and he asked me what I did for a living. At the time, I was building self-storage facilities. And he said, well, let me drive you around Batesville, show you around. So I'm riding around Batesville with him, and I'm just loving the town. And I said, well, I may need to buy some property here and build a facility. So Larry starts showing me all the real estates for sale. Of course, he knows everybody. The last piece he showed me, him and Mark had owned. They bought it, put a Ford dealership on, and then they didn't do that. So I left there that day. I had a new race car, and I bought 3 acres off of Larry. I had to leave him in as a partner, which was fine. And so then we started building a storage facility there. But that was the first open car that I had. And we ran it and won some races at Muskogee with it. And then started running GRTs. A lot of that was because of my relationship with Wendell. And that's when the Mars Series was starting up. Mooney started that up in 2000. And we ran a few of those, but we weren't really up to speed good enough to go, hit the whole circuit. And then that began what I think is the heyday of the Mars Series. And then in 2021, we ran for Rookie of the Year in Mars, and there were 17 drivers that started out running for the Rookie of the Year. That's how tough that series was starting out. I think I was sitting 6th at the halfway, but I ended up winning it. So I won the Rookie of the Year, ran every race, ran well, but didn't crack the top 10 in points. That's how tough the Mars Series was then. And, everywhere we go, they just sell out. And you had, Terry, you had Bill Fry, you had Wendell, you had Billy there a lot. And the list goes on. Donnie Barnhart, Mike Powers. I mean, it was murderer's row. If you got a top 10 in a Mars race back then, you were doing something. And so that led to that. And then I ran full time till about 2006. And then I sold all my equipment and started, driving Wendell's car some. And that really helped me out. I was only running a few shows a year, but that was enough to, kind of keep me in the game and freed me enough to keep working harder. Saw my companies were growing. But it was really nice to go run Wendell's cars because I could show up and, man, I knew they was ready. He could take mine. We drove kind of similar since he's always a little bit faster. But he could just take my cars, free them up about 15 or 20%. And we were usually where we needed to be. So some years I'd only run to show me and the topless. And back then, Wendell was just kind of dominating show me. I remember I timed in second quick there one year. We made the feature several times. I think run 10th one year in it. One year I only ran two races. I ran Show Me in the Topless, ran 10th and Show Me, and 8th in the Topless in one of those cars. So that tells you how good
Golly,
the
but
equipment was. And, you know, you think, well, only showing up twice a year makes it tough, but it's not as tough when you know you're crawling in good equipment. Same thing when I go drive one of Tony Jackson's cars. Well, all the hard work's been done. You know, I got the easy part at that point. Uh, but then since '06, we just kind of ran partial schedules. And then, you know, my son Theron graduated high school in 2016. So then I thought, well, I've got a window here. I can go race a little bit before my grandkids get bigger and more active. So in 2017, made a deal with Tony and we raced with him that year. And at 17, we probably ran 30 or 40 shows, mostly the MLRA, ran a lot in Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, all up through there. Did the same thing in 18 and 19. And also in 17, won a Mars race that year. We did that 18 and 19. And then, of course, COVID hit in 20, kind of messed schedules up for everybody. But we probably ran 20 shows that year. And then I sold my late model stuff and was going to be out for good. And I was for 3 years. And then Wendell, he pulled me back in 24 running his modified. Fortunately enough, I got to win the first night of the Topless in the modified on that Friday night. I got to outrun
oh,
Wendell and Jeff
there you are.
Taylor's. A lot of fun for me.
I was
And
I
that,
was I was going to ask you this question. So, I mean, do you have? I noticed that you have gotten in and out of it, and then you seem to just be able to come back in and do pretty good. I mean, uh, is it just like riding a bicycle, or do you have to? Is it more than that?
you know, it really kind of is. Your instincts just take over. I know, trying to think if this last year or the year before, uh, we jumped back in and ran, not last year, but the year before that, I think it was, or it might have been last year. I hadn't been in a late model in like 4 years. And talked to Tony, and he had some shows lined up. And the first one was at Springfield, which is a track that I really like, and I've always been fast there. So we go up there, me and my son, and tell him all the way up there. I said, you know, I'm a little bit nervous. I haven't been in a car late model in 4 years. I don't know if this will go well or not. So they had a practice night. So I told him, I said, you'll know after the first session whether we're going to stay and race. I said, if it doesn't go well, I'll get out and we'll watch and we'll hang around the rest of the weekend. But we went out right off the bat. Our first hot lap session, I think we was the fastest car in our group. Of course, that's also a testament to kind of cars that Tony gives me when I show up. And we stayed and raced, had a great time. Then we ran, I think, one or two shows in Wheatland, ran the Bad Boy, which Tony won that year. And we were really fast in it the first night. Timed in bad both nights. I don't remember where I finished in feature the first night. Second night, I had a really good car, timed in bad, had to run a B, won the B pretty easy. And then I'd gotten up to 10th in feature and cut a tire down and hit the wall. That was the end of my night, but I got to get out and watch Tony win. And told Tony after he won, I said, man, you may not have had the fastest car. I know you won it, but that one I was in was so good. And that's, like I say, another testament to how well Tony and them take care of me when I show up. But to answer your question, yeah, it really is. I think you could go find a lot of drivers that hadn't been in a car in 5 or 6 years, put them in that kind of equipment, go put them on the racetrack. They're going to be fast.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what points you want to go in. Now, you're not going to go out and race at the same level you did when you were racing full time, because it's one thing to go out and be fast in hot laps and to be fast timing in. But then when you got to go start navigating restarts and start racing with these guys 2 or 3 wide and you're not used to it, then all your instincts are not as sharp. And these guys anymore race so hard. Used to, we didn't do the slide jobs like they do now. And man, you don't know where they're coming from at times. So that's different. But as far as just getting in a car and going out and being fast in them, yeah, I think your instincts just take over.
Let me ask you this question. So the equipment, I mean, how big a deal is that? And when you say equipment, is it just the equipment itself? Is it how Tony sets them up for you, or what exactly do you think it is? Is it, like let's say if you just got into a random late model, would you do decent? Would you be able to race it decent? Is it your skill or just the equipment? I mean, kind of explain that to me if you would.
And it takes a combination of all of it to win. But, if I not racing very often, if I got in a 10th place car, I'm probably going to run 15th to 20th. I mean, if you're not in them all the time. Right now, I've got to be in one of the fastest cars to feel like I've got a realistic shot at being top five. It's just the way it is. Now, if you can win your heat, start up front in the feature, and just make laps out in clean air, it might be a little different. But it takes it all. And I keep saying the cars that Tony provides and Wendell provides, but it's also their teams and everything they do. Both those guys are just so professional, and I'm so fortunate to be friends with them. And over the years, got to race their cars, but it takes all of it. It's from the ground up. It's the maintenance. It's the guys working on tires. It's just everything. And then, they've got big notebooks. They know where to start out at. Tony knows he can set both cars up and then make what adjustments he thinks I will need. And usually they have to free me up. Same thing with Wendell. He can set it up just like it's his and then just free me up a little bit. And, but it takes all of it. Any guys that are winning out there on the regional level, they're not doing it by themselves. I mean, they've got good crew guys that are dotting I's and crossing T's, and it just takes all of it. You got to have a good aero program. You got to have a good shock program. You got to have good engines. If you don't have the best of everything, I don't know how anybody could win at a regional level. And those guys you're seeing out there, and I don't know how some of them do it. This stuff's gotten so expensive, but if they're running up
Yeah.
front in a national or regional level, they've got good equipment. And those drivers, they're different from me. They know how to set them up. Usually you see a driver out there racing, he's turned every bolt on that car at some point. He knows exactly what they're doing. I don't have that expertise. When I raced full time, my guys were at the shop all week and I worked. And I told them if I ever start catching myself being in the shop during the week instead of the office, then we were done. And so I always had my priority, and I always took care of my guys and made sure they went home at 5 o'clock. And, we always had our stuff ready when we went. If it wasn't ready, we didn't go. But that's a long answer to your question. But at the end of my rambling, what I'm getting at is it takes all of it. It takes all
Yes,
of it
sir.
to win right up front.
Yeah, the crew, the help. I mean, that is really important. I talked to some folks this weekend down south that they said it's really hard to find um, good people to get in there to help out. I mean, it's just getting harder and harder. And man, I've seen a lot of motor issues here recently. It's been tough
Seems
on some guys.
it seems like these cars are so hooked up anymore. It just puts more and more stress on the engines. But yeah, to find good crew guys anymore, I mean, they make such a sacrifice to go do it. They're gone so much. Um, it's a tough life. It seemed like in the old days you had more people that just wanted to go and do it, but now the people just have other interests, and that's kind of a common theme through this industry is people always looking for good help, and the ones that have it, uh, like Hudson right now, man, their team, they're a family. I mean, they just really gel, and it's a pleasure to be around them. But they're real fortunate right now. They've got all the pieces in place. Everybody's happy. They got great ownership with Todd Burns, and it shows up in their results. Those guys are happy every night. I was with them at Show Me last week, son. Nobody's complaining. It's been a long year already, but man, they're having a good time and just really gelling. So they're real fortunate right now with what they have.
I heard that's probably one of the best cars right now in the country, the 71 for sure. That's what
They're
people tell
definitely
me.
they're definitely running good. And still as good as they are, they still got to have things go their way to win.
You bet. How did you get involved with that team?
With Hudson, that was through Lance Landers. So when Hudson and the one car parted ways here a couple of years ago, uh, when would that have been? First of 24, I guess. Uh,
Yeah.
Lance called me, and I'd been around Hudson some when he was a little boy. Don had raced the topless, and everybody go to Lance's shop, and Hudson was always bouncing around there when he was a kid. And then Lance, started helping Hudson when he was a kid, basically. I don't even know if he was 14 then. Lance, was helping him run some asphalt races in Florida and stuff. And Lance got a pretty good eye for talent. And, he just immediately knew he saw something in Hudson. So they'd always been close. But when him and the one car parted, Hudson was trying to put his effort together so he could, uh, keep racing and stay relevant. And Lance called me and said, "Hey, we're all going to help him out. There's 2 or 3 different guys. We're going to, donate this, donate that, and try to keep him going." And so I said, "Well, have him call me." So Hudson called me, and I liked everything I heard and was real impressed with him. So we kind of started our relationship there. And then, when he started driving again for Todd and Vicky, uh, we just stayed on board. We just come in and write a check each year and get to feel like we're part of the team when we're able to go to the races.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're definitely with a good one there. No doubt about it. Is there anyone else you support that I don't know of?
Uh,
Like Wendell?
Tony, Tony Jackson, I mean, Tony's like family to us, and we got to hang out with him this week at Show Me, and uh, Tony had a lot of speed up there this week, just didn't have a lot of luck. And he's another example. Someone's got a great team right now, and everybody's gelling. They're fast everywhere they unload. And me and Wendell have been friends. First time I ever drove one of his cars was in 2000, Speed Weeks at Volusia County. That's how far me and Wendell go back. So I've been helping his program, and of course he helps me, let me drive his cars. We've been doing that for quite a while, and we've won several races in the late model, and then just won one in the mod a couple of years ago. We've just been really good friends. We hunt together. So I was on the phone with him yesterday evening for probably 30 minutes. We're talking about hunting, and he was talking about Mooney's big race that he was going to fixing to announce. So he called me to see if I was in shape and ready to go back to racing. But we go a long way back. Jack Sullivan, Jack and Chris, and they're like family to us too. And I used to run Jack's cars some and really enjoyed that. And he always had me in good equipment. I think that's about all that we're involved with at the moment.
You think he'll ever get back into a late model? You think we'll see Wendell ever get in a late model again?
I don't know. I guess if he got the right opportunity, he probably would. But I don't know. I think the last one he drove was the car I had in 2020, and it was a Barry Wright, nice car. He ran it in the topless and something else. Um, I don't know. I'd like to see him in one. Wendell, he's a wheel man for sure, and I've raced
For
against him
sure.
enough to know that. And anybody who's ever watched him knows it. I think a lot of these young guys, they don't realize probably how good Wendell Wallace was.
No, I don't. I don't think they do. That's why I like interviewing those guys because that's what I. Those are the guys I grew up watching. I mean, Wendell, Tony Carden, Bill Fry, all those guys, man, Ken Essery, and I've just been blessed and fortunate to be able to talk to those guys on here. It's just heroes, and you know what I'm talking about. And I mean, we're you grew up watching them too. I mean, they're the heroes for our area.
Well,
They
yeah, I
really
mean,
are,
when I was a kid in Marlboro, I mean, uh, we went to Tri-State Speedway every Saturday night. Me and my mom, dad, we sat in the same spot. Everybody up there did. And back then they'd run late models weekly and then, have their specials too. You just sit there in the grandstands hoping this guy showed up or that guy. You really always
yeah,
hoping Larry Phillips showed up. And when
yep,
he showed up, I mean, everybody in the stands would just be giddy, because we knew we were going to see something special that night. And you'd have Billy pop in every now and then, especially for the specials. And Ken Essery, Johnny Bone Jr. I mean, we got to watch a lot again. I remember when Terry was just a teenager coming down there and racing. And so that was just, what we did. And they were all heroes. So when I finally was fortunate enough to get to race against those guys, it was a pretty big deal for me. I
I
remember when
bet.
I first started running a modified at Tri-State, I'm out there hot lapping with Bill Dillard and, a lot of those guys. And I thought, man, I got to stay out of their way. I don't want to cause any wrecks. But yeah, I agree with you. I grew up idolizing those guys, and was fortunate enough to get to race against some of them.
Raymond, are you going to be able to race this year?
According to Wendell, I am. Sounds like I probably try to race in that race that Mooney just announced.
Oh
So if
man,
I'm
how
gonna
about that?
do that, I'm gonna probably have to run some before then. Last 2 years, I've ran the first night of the topless in a modified, and then the second night I like to sit up on the hill and watch. Uh, so we may do that again, and then pick off one or two in September and try to get ready for it. And if I don't race in, I'm sure I'll be down there watching it and rooting Wendell on. So to
Yeah,
answer your
how about
question,
that? How about that race? I mean, golly, that's there are going to be mods from all over I've actually seen some comments on Facebook and stuff like that about late model drivers trying to find a IMCA mod to get into just for that race.
I think that could happen. Me and Wendell, we were talking yesterday, and I threw an idea at him, and I hadn't called Mooney and said anything to him, but I said, he needs to have a Legends race, like 55 and up. And even if you have to do it as an invite only and target like the Omar's drivers and stuff, a lot of those guys, even if they're not currently racing, they'll go find something to drive. And
Yes.
I don't know, Mooney's probably going to have a big enough circus going that week without throwing that in the mix of it. But that was just something we were talking about. But yeah, I hope that show goes well. I hope he has good weather for it. So everything will have to go perfect for him to come out on it, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I was asking you about the driving thing because I'm going to ask you this. So when you're not driving, I mean, are you itching to get out there in a car? I mean, do you have an itch to get out there and
Yeah, it's tough.
be out there every weekend?
This weekend was showing me when it's toughest, like I was standing there by Tony and he got ready the first night, got in the car and fired up to go hot lap stuff. That's the toughest part of it is then because you think, man, I need to be crawling in one. But once the weekend gets going, you kind of get used to it. And then go up in stands, you watch how hard those guys are racing. Like, yeah, it might not be a bad deal just standing up here. So, yeah, you get the
I
itch, but I
got
get
you.
on the racing some. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to be said. And when I first, uh, I've started and stopped several times. Usually once I stop, I don't go to very many races. Uh, but I think that's going to get easier. And if I get ditched too much, like say Chad Wheeler and them, they set me up with a iRacing rig, so I can get on there and race when I want. I have trouble finding time to do that anymore. But yeah,
So
when you
you
go race,
iRace?
it's a little some.
Well, that's awesome.
I,
That's awesome.
I mostly do the NASCAR races to fix setups. I don't have time to sit there and try to work on the setup on them.
I want to ask you about the bonding stuff. Kind of talk about that just a little bit, if you would.
And that's just
Okay.
one of the things that we do. Uh, but I started Merrill Bonding Company 37 years ago here in Salisaw. And it's just one man show. At the time I did it all. I went to the courthouse, got people out, chased them down when they didn't show up. Seems
Well,
like I did
let me ask you this
everything.
question. How did that idea come to you? How did you think I'm gonna start bonding? You just research it and do it, or I mean, did you know somebody, or how'd that happen?
Well, I knew somebody. I worked on a farm by Gans, Oklahoma, and the gentleman that owned it was in the bail bonding business, and that kind of encouraged me to get in. And then I knew another person that was in it, and they set me up with a representative for an insurance company and started that way and about starved to death first in it. But at the same time, I was also in the car business. I was wholesaling cars and had a tote to note lot. But it took a while to get it going. And then I was fortunate to bring in a good friend of mine, Rick Doherty. He's our managing agent. So Rick nowadays takes care of all the agents across the state. Uh, and he's amazing at it. He recruits them. He's very prominent in our state association. And I'm a past president of it. And then I've got a great support here in my office. You know, I'm going to brag on my company, but according to Oklahoma Insurance Department, we are the gold standard when it comes to bail bonding companies. And we
That's
work hard to
awesome.
stay that way, but it's our people that make us that. And so now we're in 35 counties probably. I think
Wow.
we have about a 15% market share of the whole state. But my
Okay.
team does such a good job of running it. That frees me up to take care of the real estate, and the commercial real estate is really what I spend more of my time with. And then we also own abstract and title companies too in Oklahoma and Arkansas. So I'm just fortunate to have a great team behind me. So it's like racing. If you don't have a good team, you don't have anything.
Yes, sir.
And we
Yes,
definitely
sir.
have a great.
Okay, so back in the early days, did you have to go hunt folks down?
Yeah, I had to do a lot of it. Seems like at first, and I try to let our agents learn from my mistakes and from Ricky's. There'd be times you had rent through, you might go write a bond you shouldn't have wrote just because they had the money. Sure enough, 2 or 3 months later, you'd be chasing them. And I did a lot of that. And at first, I really didn't hardly have the money to pay a bounty hunter to help me. Later on, I had a guy out of Muskogee that was really good at it, and he would help. But now I did a lot of it. I mean, uh, sitting around watching houses, doing all of that. You don't nowadays they do it more with technology. And now when they do
Right.
it, like our agents usually do their own, but if it gets too complicated, we have professional bounty hunters that we send in. Shoot, those guys look like SWAT teams and stuff when they go in, and they'll fly drones in the
Yeah.
back. I mean, they know everything
Golly.
that's going on in that house before they go in, but they'll mostly find them uh, through computers. I mean, it's just hard to do anything anymore where you don't leave some kind of digital footprint out there. And those guys are the best at it. I don't know how you'd hide from some of these bounty hunters. I don't know if it's possible without just going and getting in a cave and shutting yourself off. But that industry has changed a lot. When I was first doing it, I'd go in them houses by myself and get people. A lot of times you'd have to fight your way out. You'd have more trouble with their brothers or their buddies, it seemed like, than you would to defend it. But once you got in there and got them, you had to get out quick with them, one way or the other. I mean, they were going, especially if you couldn't afford to pay for forfeiture. I mean, once you had them in your sight, they're going one way or the other. These guys nowadays, they hit them with more people. And, if you bring in a lot of force, you get less resistance a lot of times. So things have evolved. Those guys have top shelf equipment that they use. It's like all other industries. I mean, it's evolved quite a bit. And I haven't personally went up in a courthouse and wrote a bail bond in probably 20 years, but it's changed quite a bit, and it allowed everything else to happen. That's why I'm still involved with our state association and do a lot of other things. I try to give back to that industry because without that industry, I wouldn't own my warehouses or self-storage facilities or anything else. So I'm always thankful for it, and we're still growing.
Okay. And you said self storage facilities. I went through Southsaw this weekend and I saw Merrill storage. Is that you? Okay. Okay. All right. I
We're in
thought it might
Oklahoma
be.
and Arkansas. We own a lot of our stuff's in Northwest Arkansas. We built a new facility up there, Pinnacle Storage. It's been open 2 years now. It's one of probably the nicest facilities in Arkansas. We're really proud of it. Uh, yeah, that one you saw in Salsa was one of the original ones. I think I built it in 1994. Started out as two
Daggum.
buildings. Two buildings, I think 12,000 square feet. Now we got 130,000 square feet there and 1,100 units. So
Yeah. Boy, that's awesome. That's awesome. Your bonding stuff, right? Can you just that Merrill bonding, is it just in Oklahoma? Can you move? Or do you have stuff in Arkansas, or are you just in Oklahoma?
we're just licensed in Oklahoma. Now, if we
Okay.
want to go out of Oklahoma, we'd have to form an insurance company and go into other states, but I do not see that happening. I think we're pretty happy where we're at.
I didn't know if that worked or not. So let me ask you this question. When you were doing that in full time or a lot, does that kind of change the way you deal with everybody, like your view of everybody? Kind of, because a lot of times, like with law enforcement officers, they've always got that mentality going on, no matter what they're doing. So does that change, having to hunt people down and stuff like that? Does that change the way you view everything? Kind of, you understand what I'm saying?
I don't know about everything. I think you end up with a better ability to read people. You can read rooms better. You might see some trouble fixing to happen before somebody else does and give you time to avoid it, hopefully. Uh, if I would have stayed active in it, it would probably change the way I looked at everything. But as it is, I, I don't know. It probably changes some things. I mean, you probably see things that's happening that other people wouldn't.
Yeah.
And like I say, I think the best thing, it helps you to read people and try to figure out
Right.
who you can
That's
trust.
that's kind of what I was trying to get at, like a way trust it, trust people or deal with people. I guess maybe seeing that element,
You
a
know,
lot.
you probably shouldn't judge people real quick, but I can be around somebody short amount of time and get a pretty good read on, what kind of person I think they are.
Yep.
And we
Do you
try
think that
to
helped you in business in all your other your business ventures?
definitely. And I've always been lucky and surrounded myself with great people. Most of my life, I've always had good mentors in my life, and that made a big difference. I mean, it's nice to know you can pick up the phone and call somebody and get the answer. And I've been lucky through my life to get to do that. And now I'm trying to return the favor to some young people that are in the real estate business and in the bell bonding business. And as long as someone young comes up to me that's sincere and willing to work and do things right, I love to help them. If I sense they're coming to me just looking for some kind of shortcut, then it's for them.
Yep.
And
Okay.
there's people in the racing industry right now that I've helped with on real estate and stuff. Tony Jackson, he's got a good real estate portfolio. I love helping Tony. Tony's just a sponge. He soaks up everything. Ronnie Stuckey, he's in the self-storage business because of me.
I
I,
did not know
I
that.
think it's because of me. Hudson O'Neill, we're working on things for Hudson. And he's like Tony, he's a sponge. One thing about Hudson, you only have to tell him something one time. And he's soaking up a lot of information right now on real estate. He's kind of drinking to a fire hose right now, but he's absorbing all of it, and we're trying to help him out there too. And I enjoy that. I like to give back. I like to give back to my community, my state, uh, any chance I can. We never say no to anything in this community. I've sat on about every board here. My son is doing that now. Uh, and if there's something they need, we're always there for them. And I'm involved in
Yep.
about everything that goes through our city government.
Well, your city's in
Cities in a
it's a
yeah,
pretty
it's
place. There may be people around this in the country that don't realize how beautiful Eastern Oklahoma is.
yeah,
Especially
and we're
down there in the Sallisaw, Podo, Panama, and even further south. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous down in that area.
yeah, and we're fortunate here. And I was really fortunate growing up. So I love to hunt. So I could go south from Muldrow and be in Arkansas River bottoms and duck hunt and fish. I could go north, be in the Cookson Hills, go deer hunt and turkey hunt. I've got a farm. It's 12 minutes from my house. It's northwest Sallisaw. This morning before I come to the office, I went up there and drove through Hicks, had work being done. Well, that's a pretty good way to start your day. But yeah, a lot of people, they think of Oklahoma as just prairies, and we've got plenty of that. But now Eastern Oklahoma is beautiful. Arkansas is just an amazing state too. Uh, but you're right. We're lucky to live where we live, and we're in a small town, but we can be in Tulsa in an hour. I can be in Fayetteville in an hour, so it
Yes,
all
sir.
works out.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Merrill, thank you, sir, so much for coming on here and talking to me. I really appreciate it. And man, I hope to get to see you at the track here pretty soon. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, I'll be at the topless. I don't know if I'll be driving anything, but I know I'll be up on top of the hill at some point. I'll probably find Peyton Taylor and those guys and have a beer up there somewhere.
Peyton Taylor, he's quite the character, man. I really like him. What a great group of people down there at Batesville.
Yeah, I've always felt like Batesville is kind of my second home, and I did have a home there. And I was married to Michelle. She was from Batesville, so we've got a lot of ties to that community. And I had a self-storage facility there for 20 something years. So yeah, I've got a lot of
Yeah,
friends here and I definitely enjoy going down there.
I was born and raised just about an hour and 15 minutes north of there. Kind of in between West Plains Speedway and Batesville. That was always home for me. That's where I grew up watching all those legends. So Batesville's definitely home. And man, Mooney Star, that dude, if every track in the country had a promoter like him, I think this sport would probably it'd be definitely in a better place if everybody had a Mooney Star.
I agree with that. And, it's like when he had the bar series. I mean, that was just such a neat time back then. And it seems like everywhere we went was sold out and paid back good compared to what your equipment cost back then. And yeah, I agree with you on Mooney. It was whichever track had a Mooney.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for coming on. And hopefully I get to talk to you again here soon. I hope I get to see you at the track. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Skip.